Alrighty, so Meta. Biggest position in the public count. It's the big dog. We're up $930,000 on that position, right? So Meta in talks over scale AI investment that could exceed $10 billion, Bloomberg reports. Oh my gosh. Meta is in talks to make an investment that could exceed $10 billion in artificial intelligence startup Scale AI. Now, I don't know why they call it startup, because this company's been around a little bit now. Bloomberg News report on Sunday. The terms of the deal were not yet finalized and could still change, the report said, citing people familiar with the matter. Sounds about right. Scale AI declined to comment, and Meta did not immediately respond to Reuters' request for comment outside regular business hours. Founded in 2016, which once again, why they call it a startup when it's founded in 2016? Like, the company's like almost a decade old now at this point in time. Scale AI is a data labeling startup backed by tech giants such as NVIDIA, Amazon, and Meta. Could it be three better backers? Like, literally, if you had to pick three companies to back your company in the whole world, you would probably start with NVIDIA, Amazon, and Meta, right? Like, oh my gosh. Last valued at nearly $14 billion, Scale AI also provides a platform for researchers to exchange AI-related information with contributors in more than 9,000 cities and towns. So Scale AI, make the best models with the best data. Scale Data Engine powers nearly every major foundation model. With Scale Gen AI platform leverages your enterprise data to unlock the value of AI, right? And obviously on the front page, they brag about Microsoft, uses them, Meta uses them, Cisco, even companies like GM and Time, and then OpenAI is on the front page as well, right? So clearly, this company is extremely important for these very large, very successful companies in the AI space, right? Now, if you're wondering kind of what's the deal between this company and Palantir, they seem like very different business models. Scale AI and Palantir are companies in the AI space, but they differ in their core offerings and target markets. Scale AI focuses on data labeling and model evaluation, essentially providing the ingredients for AI models, while Palantir offers broader enterprise AI platforms for analyzing and leveraging data. So I'll put it to you like this, okay? If I was a company maybe making LLMs or foundation models or doing anything in that realm, I would probably go to a company like Scale AI versus go to a company like Palantir. However, let's say I'm a big Fortune 500 company. Let's say I'm a big beverage maker, right? And I need my company has data spread all over this thing. It's my big, massive company, and I need my data all in one place. And I need the data to be intelligent and be able to tell me, you should do this next, you should do that next, right? And leverage all that data to tell me problems that are going to arise that I might not see, or other humans that are running the company that I might not see, right? How to better utilize this data in a much more intelligent way, right? So we can figure out how to sell more, whether we can figure out how to save cost, doing this or doing that. So that would be a Palantir project. That I'm gonna use Palantir for. I'm not gonna use a Scale AI company for something like that. So they're very different use cases. Okay, very, very different use cases. So, and this is gonna be something that's confusing to investors over this next bit of time, because you're gonna hear a lot of companies over this next many years, they're an AI company. And so you're like, wait, are they like an AI company as in like a Palantir? Or are they like a Scale AI? Or are they like Databricks? Or what are they like? These companies are all going to be very, very different, right? There's some that will have similarities or overlaps, but a lot of them are going to be very different. Even you look at Meta. Meta's an AI company, but Meta, the way they're going to compete in AI is very different than the way Palantir competes in AI versus the way Scale AI competes in AI. These companies are very, very different. Or even a company like Amazon for that matter, okay? And even Google, the way Google leverages AI, very different than even Meta would utilize AI. So do keep in mind, a lot of these companies are competing in AI, but doing it in very different ways. It's not like these companies are all going head to head and just fighting over the same customers. No, it's not the way it works. You need different companies for different things, right? No, these AI Ray-Ban Meta glasses, which I actually have a pair, it's pretty interesting what they've done recently. So they're doing this essentially live translation, where let's say you speak French, I speak English. We could actually have a conversation and it'll do translation in real time so we can have as smooth of a conversation as possible, right? Now, I've watched some of these different translations. Some of them work well, some of them don't work well. the product needs more refinement, right? It needs to get up to a higher and higher level. But the moral of the story is this is the future, and this is going to be massive, in my opinion. And the reason this is so massive for Meta, and I'll explain why it's so big for Meta as a product over time, but keep in mind, Meta's a worldwide company. Instagram's all over the world. Facebook is all over the world. WhatsApp's all over the world, right? If you're somebody that does business, which how does Meta make all its money? From advertising, right? If Meta can do anything to make it easier for somebody in China to talk to somebody in the United States, to talk to somebody in France, to talk to somebody in Belgium and Germany and, Japan, wherever, South Korea, then more business can be conducted. If more business can be conducted on Facebook, on Instagram, on WhatsApp, right? More ads can be run, more business success can happen, more money can be made by companies because their friction of not being able to communicate with each other is alleviated, which means more money being spent on advertisements on Facebook and Instagram and WhatsApp and those sorts of things. So it grows the whole pie. So this is very, very big as this translation technology. It's not like it's impossible to, let's say you're a drop shipper, right? And you use Facebook for your advertising and you use Instagram for your advertising, you use Shopify as your e-commerce platform, but you drop ship different items from China, right? And you need to communicate with those folks. You could get it done today, but it's not like it's a great process. It's not very easy. If you could hop on a Zoom call but not Zoom, right? Like something that's through a Facebook platform or whatever and be able to communicate back and forth, it helps you do business better, right? And it alleviates kind of a pain point there. And anything you could do easier is going to end up meaning, in the end, more money in Meta's pockets, right? But additionally, I think this can help the Meta glasses really take off, right? And so let me give you an example. Let's say I live in Vegas. I do not speak Japanese, but let's say I want to go to Japan with my wife, right? Wouldn't it be great if I could be wearing a product like Meta glasses, and imagine it's 3 years in the future, and I go to Japan and I'm able to conversate in a very easy way with folks in Japan. I'm able to understand them even though they're speaking Japanese. And it's very easy for me to understand exactly what they're saying, for me to see a menu, let's say, or whatever it is, right? Some sort of document, and I can just say, Meta, what does that say? And even though it's all in Japanese, it's going to be able to say exactly what this sign says or what this document says or whatever, right? Makes my life a whole lot easier. It makes me say these Meta glasses are very valuable. They're worth a lot more than I spent on them, right? Let's say you're a Chinese citizen, you live in Shanghai, China. You want to come to my city. You want to come to Vegas, baby. We know the Chinese. They love to gamble. They love to come to Vegas, right? So instead of coming to Vegas and there's hardly anybody to talk to, and keep in mind there are some dealers, especially at the high-end resorts like the Wynn and whatnot, that do have some dealers that do speak fluent in Mandarin, right? But there's also, most don't. And so imagine you go on a trip from Shanghai to Vegas and you're wearing a device like Meta glasses or something like that, and you can easily talk to the dealers or people that work at the restaurant, waiters and things like that, and able to communicate effectively in an easy manner with these sorts of folks, right? And as more and more people understand how important this technology is, then you start to have the staff needing to wear things like that, right? Because imagine this technology is so good you could have a fluent conversation. Why would let's say Wynn Resorts not want to have a device like this? If they could easily have a device like this in all their employees' ears, right, that could easily translate, because you got to understand, a company like Wynn, they got customers coming from Latin America that don't speak English well, or China or Japan, wherever, right? Why would you not buy your entire employee force a device like this so they could easily be able to communicate back and forth with your customers instead of it being that awkward, I don't know what he's saying, I don't know what she's saying, does anybody speak blah 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 language? It's like an awkward whole situation, right? Imagine if you could have a natural conversation and it's translating everything for you as you have that conversation. That's what we call a killer app, folks. And if you want to know how the iPhone took off, right? Here's the deal. The iPhone took off for one core reason. It had a killer app. The killer app was the internet, right? And Safari. Prior to that, cell phones were already loved and didn't really need any tweaking. People love the text conversations you had. They love their BlackBerry devices. They love the ability to call. They love that they would have an iPod as well that they could listen to music with. There was no issue with the phone that made everybody say, I hate phones. Like, I don't remember being in high school and everybody saying, I hate phones. I can't wait till a new phone comes out. No. Everybody loved their phones. People had the sidekicks. Anybody remember the sidekick phones? For some of you youngins, you're probably like, what the heck? Is he speaking a foreign language right now? Remember the sidekicks? Man, the BlackBerries, like, whew, all those devices were like great in their day. But then iPhone came out. And the thing that really made people say, I got to go get this iPhone was the fact that it had a good internet browser. And that did not exist prior to iPhone. The internet experience was complete trash on any of those old devices. But then iPhone came out and said, we got this great internet, and people are like, oh my gosh, like this is basically like using internet on a laptop or a computer, but it's on my phone? Sign me up. And so that's what we're talking about. If you want the masses to really buy a product like the Meta glasses, instead of just like, people that are kind of really forward looking on technology, you need killer apps. You need things that make people say, this is so awesome. This is way better than like if I didn't have this device. It makes my life way easier and better. Boom. That's how you get the masses to adopt. And then if you're Meta, that's how, when you just keep building on it. And next thing you know, maybe you have the replacement of the phone. Right? I know as of today, it's very hard for us to even imagine a replacement of our smartphones today, but don't be surprised if that gets replaced in 10, 20 years, right? There's a lot of devices and things that we've had over time that we could never imagine that being replaced until a new technology came out and replaced that thing. And then we said, we don't really have as much of a need for that thing anymore, right? Technology moves on, and that's how you capture new platforms. But you need killer apps if you're really going to have something take off. And I'm like, stuff like that, big time, right? Hey, I want to thank you so much for watching that clip. I hope you really enjoyed it. What I'm showing you in front of your face right now is 1000xstocks.com. This is such an important website and service to use if you want to research companies, if you want to understand companies on a high level, so you can hopefully get better results in the market. And we know as the years tick on, money compounds. It is so important you research companies, you compare companies, you're listening to conference calls, looking at SEC filings. All that's included into 1000xstocks.com. So to enjoy 1000xstocks.com and to apply for that service, you can go to the description area of this video, or you can go to 1000xstocks.com, whichever you prefer. Alrighty, let's get into this.
Bloomberg says that the Meta CEO has been frustrated with his company's progress in the AI race so far and is putting together what's being called a super intelligence group inside Meta. The report says that Zuckerberg's goal is to beat other tech companies to reaching the...
See, you know what? This is so big. This is so big. Listen, that's a difference between somebody that really pushes a company hard versus CEOs that are just there to collect a paycheck, right? Because you're looking at Meta. Meta is doing amazing things in AI, and they're already making fortunes of money from AI. Like, if you want to talk about who's making the most money in the world from AI, honestly, outside of NVIDIA, the company making the most direct money from AI is Meta through their AI algorithms that they already have running on Facebook, Instagram to feed content, to run ads, all that good stuff. And yet, even with all this success, right? Even with the Llama model, Zuckerberg still say, we're not moving fast enough, we got to move even faster. That's big, man. That's what true top CEOs that are dedicated to their companies, that's what they do, right? And what would Steve Jobs do? Exactly what Zuckerberg's doing, right? Like, he would move that company faster and faster and faster. And when you have a CEO that is there day in and day out, right, pushing his company, it leads to phenomenal results over time versus, some of these CEOs that, are kind of, work at their companies 2 days a week, right? Some of those guys,
Where AI can perform as well as humans do so that it can incorporate the technology into its range of products. According to reports over the last few days, Meta is in talks to invest billions of dollars in an AI startup, Scale AI. Bloomberg says that Zuckerberg is personally working to recruit dozens of people for Meta's new effort, driven by frustration over the response to the latest version of the company's Llama large language model. It's very similar to what we've heard from Sergey Brin, getting kind of reinvigorated by this a couple of years ago, actually, and building up and spending a lot, running that team himself. AI is definitely the thing that has all these original coders super excited, super competitive about, and Zuckerberg's apparently moving desks in the office so that all of these people can sit right by him.
Well, hurry up. It'll be interesting to see. It seems quantum. Like you made that quantum leap, and now we're really moving quickly. We'll see. It's amazing now. I am impressed at times with when I ask something.
Yeah.
Like, wow, how does that work?
So, 100%. That's why I feel very comfortable having $1.1 million plus invested into Meta stock. Of course, $931,000 of that is gains in the public account, right? But that's why I feel very, very comfortable. Because you got a man there, Zuckerberg, he's like, hey, we're going to move desks. I'm moving desks together. We're going to do whatever it takes to make this certain thing happen, right? And I posted this on my X page. If you guys ever want to follow me on X, it's always linked in the description area down there if you even use X. But, I post quite a bit of stuff on there almost every single day. Like you can see in the past 24 hours, I've made like several different posts on different things, talking about many different stocks. But this one I thought was really important. I just posted. I said, $1.1 million plus I have invested in Meta. What many don't realize is Meta is the number 2 most direct AI play in the world outside of NVIDIA. They're even more AI than Palantir, which is saying a lot. Investors realize how much of an AI company Meta is over the next 3 years. And when we're talking about Meta for AI, we're talking about how it feeds you content through their platforms, right? We're talking about what types of ads it serves up to you, because at the end of the day, if Meta is going to get advertisers to spend more and more money, those advertisers have to get better and better ROIs. If the advertisers get better ROIs, they can spend even more money with Meta, and it's like a great cycle. Plus, if people actually get ads on those platforms that they're actually interested in, right, it's a better consumer experience as well. Everybody appreciates that, right? So it's a win-win across the board. But then we talk about what they're doing with the llama models. Then we talk about all these subset of features they're going to have on their platforms over the coming years, right? And what they're going to be doing there. I mean, and you talk about, let's say you're a top software engineer in the world, right? A top coder. Who do you want to go work for? You want to go work for Apple, that's having trouble doing anything? You want to go work at Microsoft, fall asleep? You want to go work at, OpenAI? You want to go work at Meta, where you might be one of those 50 desks working alongside Zuckerberg, right? On a day in, day out basis. Or you want to go work at Tesla, where, you might see the CEO once a year. Where you want to go work? I want to go work at Meta. And so, I think that's very meaningful, because at the end of the day, these companies with the best workforces are the ones that push the fastest and make the most insane new products and services that people are like, dang, like, how did they just come out with that? Like, how did they just create that out of thin air, right? And so Meta's moving fast here. Zuckerberg's not content for even a second. And I love that, man. I absolutely love that, because there's a lot of these big tech companies get really complacent, really content really fast here, right? Hey, I want to thank you so much for watching that clip. I hope you really enjoyed it. What I'm showing you in front of your face right now is 1000xstocks.com. This is such an important website and service to use if you want to research companies, if you want to understand companies on a high level, so you can hopefully get better results in the market. And we know as the years tick on, money compounds. It is so important you research companies, you compare companies, you're listening to conference calls, looking at SEC filings. All that's included into 1000xstocks.com. So to enjoy 1000xstocks.com and to apply for that service, you can go to the description area of this video, or you can go to 1000xstocks.com, whichever you prefer. Alrighty, next one up here, David Costin on where the markets are headed.
Who joins us here on set. David, good to see you. Welcome.
Good morning. I see you.
Are you sensing a legitimate reason for the market to grind higher?
Well, near term, there is some concern about the tariff uncertainty, but people are generally optimistic on the prospect that that's going to be resolved in a positive way. And so longer term, our expectation is the market rises maybe 9% or so, high single digit, maybe 10% when you include dividends over the next year. But near term, there's some uncertainty, and not surprising, the market has rebounded pretty significantly off of its low in early April.
Are you looking for the hard data to start to reflect the weak soft data of the last month or two?
Well, the equity market traditionally trades more on the soft data than on the hard data. And the expectation is that we've had a weak bout of soft data. Maybe some of that may be turning. So I referenced the small business optimism as an example, so the surveys. But the hard data is expected to weaken in the next, our economics team is expecting that to be weak in the next sort of month or so. If we sit here today in the mid part of June, you look out over the next sort of month to 2 months, we still have some uncertainty on that extension of the tariff. That delayed implementation goes through the early part of July. You have earnings season, which will start July 11th through our first week of August. So that's uncertainty exactly.
Before it goes further here, what do I think about his call here for the market to go up 9% over the next year? Well, what a boring call. And why do I say that? And the reason I say that is, how much do you expect the S&P 500 to go up per year? Usually around 8% or so. So by saying he thinks the market's going to go up 9% over the next year, it's basically saying the market's going to do what the market does on average. Like, that's not like a big bold call or something like that, right? And so, I'm expecting seeing this market continue to grind higher. And if this market continues to grind higher, throughout June into July, August, I think there's going to be fireworks this fall. I think there's going to be fireworks. I'm still trying to figure out exactly what's going to be the lighter in the situation, but I'm expecting fireworks this fall if the market continues to grind higher. This just is a little too good to be true, right? Like, we got fireworks coming. It reminds me of 2018.
Pricing actions would be in the companies in terms of their ability to maintain margins. The China delay in the tariffs, 90 days, that'll put you into early part of August. So we're sitting here in the next month to 2 months. You get some hard data will be weaker. You get some uncertainty around the earnings. The blackout period for company share repurchases basically ends later this week or early part of next week in terms of the month before. Season when company.
Something important you got to understand here is, if the market does see a little weaker hard data, as long as it's not like off a cliff, the market will gladly take a little weaker hard data. Why? Well, that helps alleviate the fear around overheating economy or fears around inflation, those sorts of things. And so the market could get more confident in Fed rate cuts. Because if you get some more weakening hard data, the Fed can say, you know what, we need a cut. We need to start cutting. We need to start another cut cycle, right?
Are able to still repurchase discretionarily their shares. So these are some of the variables, the signposts you're looking at, we're looking at, clients are looking at. You look out further to next year, the economy is likely to continue to grow. We don't have a recession in the forecast. That's not the base case. And therefore, you've got earnings growth, 7% this year, another 7% next year. That lifts the market to around 6,500. 6,500 is roughly up nearly 10%. That's kind of the framework as we talk about it with clients.
So where do you think tariff rate? We're kind of under a month here into the 90-day deadline to make a bunch of trade deals, and we haven't seen much on that front, the UK. So how do you factor in what that's going to do to margins?
So when we think about it from a level perspective, the margins, effective margins in the United States averaged around 3% last year, and our economics team is modeling in something around 16% this, well, really into once those get implemented, probably 16%, about a 13%
effective tariff
increase.
Rate.
That's the effective tariff rate. So what do you do as a fund manager? One of the things we talk about with clients is around companies that have been able to generate high and stable gross margins. And so the idea, Sarah, would be those companies who have demonstrated over the past decade their ability to maintain those high margins. You look at some of the companies, Kroger is an example of company who's done that. You could look at GE Vernova. You can think about companies like Salesforce, IBM. These are companies that have demonstrated high and stable gross margins over a period of time, and we think that's a best indication of companies' ability to maintain their margins. Because right now, that is the central debate as to all these tariffs, if and when they may get implemented. How are they going to be? Who's going to pay for them? Is it going to be the...
So, there's... I think it's way too early to say there's not going to be a recession next year. Way too early. A couple things to keep in mind here. Okay, listen. First, home building. Home building drives so much of the economy. How do the home builder numbers look as this year goes along, right? You need to see these companies continue to sell lots and lots of new homes so we can keep that construction market going, because that just creates so many jobs and in so many adjacent industries as well. So I think that's really important. Let's keep an eye on that. If these home builder numbers really start to weaken considerably as the year ticks on, I would worry about recession a lot more for next year. Obviously, you guys have seen the images and you've seen everything that's going on with the ICE crackdowns, right? You might think, it doesn't have anything to do with the economy. It could end up actually, I was doing some thinking about this recently. I was like, dang, this could actually negatively affect the economy. How? Everybody knows there's a massive amount of illegals living in the United States, right? Those illegals spend a lot of money in the economy. They work their jobs and then they go spend that money, right? If you are in this country and your papers aren't right, are you going to go out and spend any money for the next however much time, whether that means months or years to go in the future? No, you're going to probably just try to do whatever your job is, go straight home and stay in the dang house because you don't want to even risk going out right now, right? You don't want to risk any sort of situation where you could be pulled over or anything because then you could be talking about, your whole family's going to be uprooted. And so you got to understand there's a lot of the spend in the economy is people that don't have their papers right. And those people are really, really, really going to have to, are going to be scared to go out for a while. Like imagine you being in a situation where your papers aren't right. And you're seeing all this stuff every time you go on X, every time you go on Instagram, TikTok, whatever, right? About people left and right, being put into one of those ICE vehicles. Would you say, yeah, I'm going to go out to the mall right now. I'm going to go out and do this. I'm going to go to the taco shop. I'm going to go here. I'm going to go there. I'm going to go to the restaurant. I don't know, man. I'd be hunkered down. That's all I'll say about that, right? And I would be a little petrified to even go out and spend money in the economy. And so, I think it's too early. It's too early to make a call that the economy is not going to have a recession or will have a recession in 2026. But those are two factors. Pay attention to home building. And I think this whole immigration situation, I don't know how that's going to shake out, but I don't see it being a good thing when it comes to the economic front in the short term. That's for sure.
Is it going to be the companies going to absorb that? Is it going to be the ultimate consumer? And that is a subject of some debate. Different companies, of course, have different leverage and power in terms of pricing perspective.
I mean, I just keep highlighting retail because traditionally you would pass that on to the consumer, but this is not a consumer environment for a lot of retailers where they can do that.
So in our conversations, and I spend a good amount of my time with corporate managements, is a question about whether the consumer will trade down from a branded product to a private label product. That's a way of having a product substitution, not having to pay the premium, if you will, on the tariffs. And so you get a similar product at a same price, basically, as you had before. That would be one behavioral response to the tariffs, as an example on the retail side. And we hear that from some of the larger producers right now.
And another factor in regards to the whole immigration situation, right? And this ties back into home building, is we got to be honest here. A lot of the home building industry hires illegals, right? The question is, how much of a percent does that home building industry, how much of it are people that don't have their papers right? Are we talking it's like 5%, 10%, 20%, 30%? I've seen estimates before that are kind of in the 15 to 20% range. We don't know, but it's a big number. It's not a small number. So, if we're talking about the home building industry had to go only people that are for sure 100% U.S. citizens, I mean, it's going to get a lot more expensive to build homes. A lot more expensive, right? So, just something to keep in mind there, which then weighs on inflation, right? And makes for more inflation. So just all things to keep in mind here, right? In the construction industry in general, trust me.